Joining us on Urban Debate this evening is Member of Parliament Rajya Sabha for Shiv Sena, and Priyanka Chaturvedi is live with us. Good evening, Ms. Priyanka Chaturvedi. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Good to have you on the show today. The political turmoil within Shiv Sena is now threatening to topple Maha government in Maharashtra. This fight for legacy, fight for legitimacy even reached the top court yesterday. Will your coalition survive? What is really happening?
So, as far as Shiv Sena is concerned, there is no fight for legacy. This is a fight of opportunism that we are seeing in some select leaders who we had total implicit faith in that will take Shiv Sena forward, stand by the party president, but have chosen to turn their backs around and look at a first opportunity to try and grab power. Though they had very important positions, they have gone and done that. As far as stopping the government is concerned, that would only be determined on the floor of the House, and as and when that happens. As of now, Shiv Sena has done what it is duty-bound to do. We have sought disqualification of those MLAs who did not fall in the party line, who have come elected on the Shiv Sena symbol, but are trying to cause an engineered split by that is instigated by the Bharatiya Janata Party. So we are trying to ensure that they do not damage the party in any way, which is unlikely to happen because the entire party cadre stands firmly behind our party president, Shiv Balasaheb Thackeray.
But Ms. Priyanka Chaturvedi, rebel leader Eknath Shinde's camp is swelling every single day. He claims that the MLAs with him actually represent the real Shiv Sena. In fact, he's also said that there are 50 MLAs with him in Guwahati and they have come on their own and they have only come for Hindutva because that is what his camp is representing today.
No, I will not go as per what his camp is saying and what they want us to discuss, because that is not what I'm here to discuss. What they have done, everybody can figure out for themselves, is an open act of rebellion, and not they. Certain few people who've engineered this along with active participation and support of the BJP. Two of our MLAs who returned back from Guwahati tell us that most of the MLAs were misled. They were taken like cattle to Guwahati, are kept under the Assam police, and many of them want to return back, but are finding it difficult to return back simply because they are under a lot of watch by these the guards that have been provided. So and again, I would reiterate, if they have the confidence of all these MLAs, why have they cooped them up in a hotel in Guwahati? Why are they not bringing them to Mumbai? Guwahati, especially Assam, is facing one of the worst floods, which it faces annually, but this time 32 of the 36 districts are underwater. Over 120 people are dead. And how bad it looks that sitting ministers who are now have been relieved from the cabinet, but are sitting there enjoying the five-star hospitality. And if you go by what all they have been enjoying, it is extremely tragic to watch that. On one hand, the Assam people are facing floods and are going without food. On the other hand, they're throwing tantrums over the food that they're getting.
On the issue of disqualification, the top court of the country clearly has given some relief to Eknath Shinde camp, but we also saw the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, appealing to rebel MLAs to come for talks. Are you in touch with these rebel MLAs? Because you've mentioned that this is some sort of a conspiracy. You're talking about BJP instigating this with a few leaders of Shiv Sena.
A lot of family members of these MLAs who have been taken, who were misled to believe that, things would go their way, or they would be able to convince the party president, or they would push his hand, or they would force his hand to take decisions he would not take. They have been misled into going to Guwahati. They want to return. So as of concern, and if you look at all the videos that are coming out from the staged videos that are coming out from Guwahati, clearly say every single person is saying that we continue being a Shiv Sainik. So if they continue being a Shiv Sainik, they have to go by the advice of the party president, Shiv Balasaheb Thackeray. And as a matter of concern, he has reached out to them saying that I do know that you are staying without wanting to stay there. And if there's anything that we can discuss, it has to be discussed at home. You'll have to return back. We will discuss in a cordial environment. And I'm just hoping that you are doing well.
So you're saying the videos that we are getting continuously from Guwahati, where these MLAs do not appear to be living there without their consent, are actually staged videos that have come. But Ms. Priyanka Chaturvedi, the reason, again, I'm coming back to the same point, behind this rebellion seems to be the ideology of Shiv Sena. After being in government for close to 2.5 years, in an alliance with NCP and Congress, Eknath Shinde has called the same alliance unnatural and wants Shiv Sena to join hands with the BJP again. Were there any sort of feelers that were given to the party high command before this rebellion began by Mr. Eknath Shinde?
So firstly, it is very hypocritical for them to talk about Hindutva, because nowhere Hindutva teaches you to backstab the very people who have implicit faith and trust in you, who have given you that responsibility to stand up for this cause of Hindutva. But you all have gone and backstabbed. You all have gone and taken a U-turn. So you get to use the word Hindutva. And secondly, 2015-16, when Eknath Shinde ji was a minister in the cabinet with the Bharatiya Janata Party, he had openly called for a rebellion against the BJP. He did not want to be in an alliance with them. He called for the alliance to break up, and he did not want to be sitting as the minister with a cabinet rank because he was not being given the independence to work. So when this entire situation developed in 2019, post 2019, where 2.5 years of chief ministership was committed, and again at that point in time, it was Shri Uddhav Thackeray who had decided that it would be Eknath Shinde ji who would lead the 2.5 years as the chief minister, his chosen person to be the chief minister from Shiv Sena. But it was the BJP who backstabbed Eknath Shinde ji. And for him to now stand with BJP and force an alliance, it just goes to show that BJP will use him again and throw him very conveniently once his use is over and done with. And as far as Hindutva is concerned, as far as the party is concerned, we have governed on the principles of Hindutva. We are the political party which has spoken about the Ram Temple. When the chief minister took oath, he was the first chief minister to reach out to Ayodhya and get Ram Lalla's darshan. We were the first political party in India which announced a donation towards the temple fund. Shri Aditya Thackeray has been regularly going to Ayodhya. So for him to make this a cause when he himself was in the decision-making process of joining hands with NCP and Congress, it sounds extremely hypocritical.
Okay, but then, you know, the reality, ma'am, on the ground is that he claims to have numbers, and your Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena, does not have the numbers that are required at this point in time. And the experts that we've spoken to so far only tell us that floor test is going to be the only way out to tell us what happens next. When can we expect a floor test in this particular case? Are you going to wait for the assembly session that is slated to begin from 17th of this month, or are we likely to see a floor test, say, maybe in the next few days?
No, there can be no floor test in the next few days. Please go back to what the Supreme Court has said. There is a disqualification proceeding which has been pushed to the 11th of July. The disqualification proceedings haven't been dismissed. The deputy speaker's role hasn't been in terms of taking a call on the disqualification hasn't been disputed by the Supreme Court. They have just put the decision on hold till 11th of July. So any floor test cannot happen till this particular issue is not closed, whether they can get to vote or not get to vote. And if they vote, which party do they belong to? Now, let's say numbers. When we keep talking about numbers, as per the 10th schedule, if they wish to get their vote counted, they will have to merge with another party. That is what the law categorically says. But if they choose not to merge, which they're going on announcing they will not merge, they cannot form an independent bloc. They will stand to be disqualified, and they can come back on that bloc that they've created and on their symbol. And in case they do choose to vote and vote against the chief whip of the legislative party of Shiv Sena, then they stand to be disqualified. So in any way, they have no other option but to merge with the BJP. And if they merge with the BJP, all the causes that they have been stating while sitting in Guwahati stands null and void, and they stand exposed.
But Priyanka Chaturvedi, like they say in politics, there are no permanent friends or enemies. BJP, we also know, is quite busy with meetings these days. Back-to-back meetings are happening. Do you see maybe now Eknath Shinde and his camp will or like you said, this entire thing has been instigated by BJP. So it's moving in that direction that very soon this camp will get merged with the BJP.
So then they stand to be exposed. The MLAs who are talking about Shri Balasaheb Thackeray, talking about Hindutva, clearly show that this is not Hindutva. This is Satta Prem. This is wanting to hold on to power, this belief that they'll have better positions in new dynamics. Like you
But
said,
ma'am,
in politics.
interrupting you there, Shinde's camp continues to say it's not about power, it's about the ideology. They have been calling the alliance with NCP and Congress being unnatural.
No, Heena ji, I think I have already answered that question. Those who backstab people, who do not even stand up for the belief that was entrusted into them, how can they talk about Hindutva? Because that's not how Hindutva works. If you think that is how Hindutva should be, then I'm sorry, I shouldn't be arguing any further on this.
Ma'am, you have given us at least one clarity that as far as floor test is concerned, it's not likely to happen before, say, 11th of this month, 11th of next month, because Supreme Court has now intervened and has given time to these MLAs to respond as well. Now, in these few days, what is going to be the plan of the Shiv Sena? Will you still try and convince the rebel camp to come back to Mumbai, to be back into the party the way they used to be? Is that going to be a plan of action? Or are you still going to be in a wait and watch mode?
No, like we have continued to maintain that there are over 18 MLAs who are in touch with us. There are over 10 family members of those people who are there, who are in the state and are desperately wanting them back because this is not how they saw it coming or saw it happening or saw it unfolding. They haven't signed up for this. This is what they continue to say. What they were made to believe is that we will pressure Shri Uddhav Thackeray to go by our plan. It was never the idea, never the agenda to pull down the government, never the agenda to go rebel against the Shiv Sena. So that is where it stands. So those who wish to come back with a clean heart that this is what they were misled into, they're more than welcome. But those who planned and plotted and backstabbed, I think the entire party will want to rethink. All the party cadre are extremely agitated, angry that this was planned behind the party president's back, and this was how he was backstabbed while he was healing from his own personal health issues. So that is where it stands. People in Shiv Sena work on emotive basis. They've come together to address challenges that the society faces for the common causes. Politics is secondary to them, but the entire party works on base of emotions and as family bond. And breaking those family ties is what hurts the Shiv Sainiks the most.
So are we clear at least on one thing, that no matter what, Mr. Uddhav Thackera's Shiv Sena is not going to merge with the BJP, is not going to befriend BJP once again, whatever happens?
I mean, I don't know how much more clarity would it need for the media channels to be convinced that we are very clear that whatever decision the party president has taken, we stand by him. And he has made it very categorical that this is next to impossible for him to go back on his word to a commitment he has given to an alliance, which he chose to get into after consulting all the senior leadership, including Eknath Shindeji, including 7 of the 8 ministers sitting there. So every single person was part of this entire process. For them to now back out is something that the party president doesn't stand by.
One last question, Ms. Priyanka Chaturvedi, before we let you go. Now, amidst this Sena versus Sena war that we are seeing, the people are suffering. In Maharashtra, in Kurla, building collapsed. People have lost their lives. The MLA is in Guwahati. Is that what the people deserve?
No, absolutely. People don't deserve a MLA who's just disappeared for the perks of power. But I must tell you, Maharashtra government is committed. Shri Aditya Thackeray was there at 2 a.m. when he heard the news. He has gone again. He's visited the place again. Subhash Desai ji was on the spot again. So Maharashtra government is doing its best. It is shameful that the MLA is busy enjoying the perks of power and enjoying five-star hospitality, enjoying special massages and special dances and whatever social do's are being planned for them, special food planned for them, and everything that you are seeing on air and how they are enjoying the five-star hospitality. And I must say, it is not just Maharashtra where Kurla is seeing this challenge. Assam is facing floods. They should think about that. This is not how Shiv Seniks are.
And we also got another news of an ex-army officer dying because of a pothole. So, you know, it's the sad story, it's the sad reality that there is a political crisis going on for over a week, and eventually people have to bear the brunt on the roads.
I don't think it is just about the roads. It's just about the governance. It is just about the cities facing this challenge. I think your bigger question and your larger question and concern should be whether we are a democracy anymore. Are we going to go with elected governments, or are we going to bypass election norms? And wherever in elections, if we have been asked to sit in the opposition, we will engineer a split in the ranks to come to power? So enforcement directorate working as an extortionist department to extortion consent, manufactured consent to form governments. I think your bigger question should be about how constitutional norms are being bypassed and how democracy is being challenged and threatened every single day.
Well, that is something we have seen happening in the state of Madhya Pradesh earlier, and now similar sort of a story is unfolding in Maharashtra as well. Ms. Priyanka Chaturvedi, thank you for the moment for joining us. We'll of course be tracking the story very, very closely. Thank you for joining us this evening on Urban Debate. And